I have lived long enough to see the same eyes in different people. I see your eyes. I know your eyes. Follow me.
Star Wars: The Force Awakens.
Hello, I'm the Universal Critic. I talk about whatever I want, whenever I want. From 1977 to 1983, the world flocked to theaters to see the original Star Wars trilogy on the big screen, and responded with thunderous applause. From 1999 to 2005, audiences flocked to theaters once again to see the Star Wars prequel trilogy, and responded with a mix of groans, shouting, and even tears. Now, 10 years later, the cycle begins anew with Star Wars Episode VII, The Force Awakens. And I'm pleased to announce we have returned to the thunderous applause stage of that cycle. Set about 30 years after the events of Return of the Jedi, The Force Awakens begins with Luke Skywalker, played again by Mark Hamill, having disappeared some time ago. In his absence, the First Order, a fascist organization led by the Sith Lord Kylo Ren, played by Adam Driver, seeks to resurrect the fallen Galactic Empire and destroy the New Republic. Their plans are threatened by familiar faces Han Solo, Chewbacca, and the now General Leia Organa, played once again by Harrison Ford, Peter Mayhew, and Carrie Fisher, as well as a colorful cast of new heroes. These include the defecting Stormtrooper Finn, played by John Boyega, the rough-and-tumble scavenger Rey, played by Daisy Ridley, and fighter pilot Poe Dameron, played by Oscar Isaac. Together, they form a resistance to fight the First Order and to stop them from returning the galaxy to its totalitarian past. Needless to say, this film had one hell of a legacy to live up to, both good and bad. On the one hand, it is a direct continuation of the original trilogy, easily some of the most iconic films ever put to screen. On the other hand, it's also coming off the prequel trilogy, easily some of the most hated films of any franchise. Films that are so bad, even the best of them, Episode 3, could only be charitably called somewhat decent. Episode 7 manages to take all the elements of the originals that we loved and tweak them enough to keep them fresh for a new generation, and it even manages to retain some of the few redeeming elements of the prequels. Well, rather I should say it takes some of the promising ideas found in the prequels and gives them an infinitely better execution. The spirit of the original 3 films is most definitely present in our main heroes, both old and new. I won't say much about Luke, mainly to avoid spoilers, but also because it's very clear that they're saving the juicy material of his character for the future, which is definitely a wise decision in my opinion. Han Solo still retains his rugged cynicism and cocky smiles, to be sure, but he does show a greater deal of humility this time around, due to the experience that comes with age. Leia is much the same way. She's a touch more passive and quiet than before, but you can still tell underneath it all she is still that passionate, charismatic leader we all know and love. The romantic sparks between the two of them are still there, and it leads to some legitimately touching scenes, but I won't spoil exactly how it turns out for your sake. And as for the biggest spoiler that everyone will be either blabbing about or shutting up about, well, I had heard rumors about it before seeing the film, so the big twist didn't exactly blow my mind, but the emotion behind it was more than strong enough to still have it resonate with me greatly. Even if I hadn't heard about it, I'm pretty sure it would not be on the same level as, say, this.
I am your father. No. That's not true. That's impossible! Search your feelings. You know it to be true. No! No!
But I hate spoilers in general, so I won't spoil it for you here. As for the new cast, the standouts for me by far are Boyega and Ridley as Finn and Rey. They're both given a lot of depth, with Finn breaking away from the First Order's subjugation, and Rey finding a place for herself and people who care about her, but their dynamic is also very cool. Both are given roughly equal agency to the plot. They work together as partners, one is never fully in charge of the other, and they both have moments of both self-reliance and needing to be saved, which is how most people are in real life. Their dynamic reminds me a bit of Max and Furiosa from the newest Mad Max film, and I didn't even mind the budding romance between them because it's not harped on that much, and it feels rather natural to me. Kylo Ren is a great villain, and he reminds me a bit of what Anakin in the prequel trilogy was intended to be. This sort of confused, angst-ridden, lost soul seduced by ideas of power and control. But unlike Anakin, more time is given to the conflict itself within him, regarding the dark side and the light side, and it feels a lot more natural and fleshed out here than it was in episodes 1, 2, and 3 put together. Also, Ren is less bitchy and whiny than Anakin ever was, and he doesn't have a really forced, awkward romance to slog through, so that's a plus as well. Ren manages to be pretty intimidating, and he has a cool outfit, with it being sort of a sleek mix of Darth Vader's mask and the Emperor's cloak. And while his voice is no James Earl Jones, it's a pretty solid substitute, I'd say. The special effects in this film are jaw-droppingly beautiful. J.J. Abrams brilliantly uses a mix of both CGI and practical effects, whereas the prequels were excessively reliant on CG. The problem with that is that if you use CGI too much, the audience's eyes become used to it over time, so they begin to see the illusion for what it really is, an illusion. CGI can be impressive on its own, but like any effect, it has to be used sparingly to avoid becoming tiring, a lesson which this film has obviously taken to heart. Overall, I give Star Wars Episode VII: The Force Awakens a high big screen rating. It's a triumphant return to form for an iconic franchise that had lost its way so badly, and it leaves us on a note that gives us plenty of opportunities and questions for the future. I'm the Universal Critic, and may the Force be with you all.